Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237 for another review. Now, I'm not sure what made me want to do this, but I think I was just looking through some of my movies recently and I realized way back when I was doing modern remakes, I hadn't done this one yet, nor have I reviewed the original. I think back when I did the Reslash sort of program that I was doing where I compared originals and remakes from post 2003. I think I did cover these two. I can't remember, but I haven't done them individually. And it's been a while since I've seen this, so I thought, what the hell? I haven't ranted like this in a while, but the 2013 remake of Stephen King's Carrie. Now, the reason why I went like this when I said remake is because you look at a movie like the new It or Pet Sematary, they're called remakes. They're not. They're not using the original films as a source material. They're using the original novels. So I consider them newer adaptations rather than remakes. This was originally pitched and, I guess, by design, made to be a more faithful adaptation to King's book. But there is a screenplay credit by Lawrence D. Cohen, who, at first I thought they had to credit him because so much of the original screenplay, because he wrote the original Carrie, was used, and there's so much of the original film in here. It does go beat for beat. Much of the dialogue, even ancillary dialogue, which I'll get to that, is used. So I thought they had to give him a credit. But I guess he did do a sort of revised screenplay along with, what's the guy's name? Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, who, he's actually a comic writer. I think he's written this and one other film. He's mostly worked in comics. He did make Stephen King's The Stand into a graphic novel. Actually, the film he wrote after this was the following year. Town That Dreaded Sundown, which is another remake, but that's actually like a clever kind of meta remake. So the reason why I went like this is because, yes, when you have something that is a book first and then a movie and then another one comes out, you know, you don't call every Dracula or Frankenstein movie a remake of Karloff and Lugosi, or Shakespeare a remake of whatever the first one was. It's a newer adaptation, but it is kind of 50-50. So it was directed by Kimberly Pierce, who her big hit was her debut, directorial debut, Boys Don't Cry, and stars Chloe Grace Moretz as Carrie White, the titular character, which is frustrating, and Julianne Moore as the troubled, disturbed, and religiously fanatical Margaret White. Now, I'm a big fan of this film, the original 1976 Carrie, with Sissy Spacek, Piper Laurie, and directed by Brian De Palma. This is one of the first Stephen King movies I saw. It's one of the first Stephen King books I read. I read it when I was still pretty young. I think might have still been in elementary school when I read Carrie. Really liked the book. Movie and book still holds up. One of my favorite De Palma films, one of the first De Palma films I saw. One of my favorite King adaptations, one of my favorite De Palma films. This doesn't have anything of De Palma in it, save for maybe one shot where I go, okay, that was pretty neat, and that's way at the end. I know the Carrie in the book is slightly overweight and covered with acne, like all over her face and body. Sissy Spacek wasn't that, but they did hire her, but she made something of it. She put shit in her hair, and she really went without makeup, and she really put herself out there to be the ugly duckling outcast of the school. Chloe Grace Moretz, she looks like she could easily fit in with the popular crowd. I mean, I don't know how old she was, so I don't know how this is to say, but she's no more or less pretty than any of the other girls in the school. In fact, it's probably prettier. It looks like a movie where they just hired an actress, threw old clothes on her, and didn't do her hair. And then there, she's the ugly outcast. I don't buy for a second that Chloe Grace Moretz is this Carrie White type girl. And it's frustrating because she is a very capable young actress. You know, I remember way back, beginning of her career in Amityville Horror when she was like 4 or 5. Piece of shit movie, but she did fine. She has a promising career. She's gonna go somewhere. You know, she's gonna go places. And the physical things she does, other than the climax of this movie, you know, how skittish she is, timid and shy, that all works. That all works really well, and she does do well with that. But then, I gotta pull the cord from my charger out. The climax is fucking ridiculous, which I'll get to. Julianne Moore is one of the positives about this film. She can't save it. She's one of my favorite actresses as well. And I mean, she does look crazy. They did a good job of just the way her hair is. Looks weathered from just, you know, everything. And yeah, the other high school kids are assholes. They're bitches and assholes. They did do a good job with that. But this movie has no teeth, has no build-up, has everything that made De Palma's film work, this lacked. And I know a lot of people will say, it's slow, it's stupid, it's slow, takes forever, hardly ever uses her powers. It's called build-up. This movie has one of the best, like, film-long build-ups to a climax. Especially, you know, one of the most so of 70s horror, probably since. You know, you have these little hints of something building up. She's picked on, she's bullied, she's alienated, she's abused at home. She kind of slowly starts figuring out that she has these abilities, doesn't understand them much. Then all of a sudden, huge prank in front of everyone, she just goes. And it's a payoff. Here, it almost feels like an X-Men movie. Now, I know that's been said before in some written reviews. She discovers she has these powers, or that she can make things move or manipulate them with her mind. So she starts practicing, and kind of, like, there's a shot in the trailer when she's in class looking up at the flag. She kind of makes it flap, and she kind of gets this devious smile. You know, she's practicing, and some of the positive reviews of this is we get to see more of it. We get to see Carrie explore her powers a little bit more. This movie proves we don't need it. And this movie rushes through everything else in the film that the whole satisfaction of, you know, the build-up paying off is not in this. I know most of this review sounds like I'm just comparing these two. I don't want to do that, but when you make a film where even the dialogue, like ancillary dialogue, all the way down to the dirty pillows are in there. The whole, this isn't over by a long shot, you eat shit. That was a shitty thing you guys did, a really shitty thing. Don't you think when you show up to the prom with Carrie White, you'll look a little ridiculous? The whole thing with Carrie reading poetry in the classroom, granted it's not Tommy's poem, But the teacher kind of making fun of her. Then Tommy saying, instead of "you suck," he says "asshole." A lot of shit's the same. And yes, it does open differently. We see the birth of Carrie, where Margaret goes to stab the baby, but a force stops her. Telekinesis. Of course, she has the closet there, but the closet isn't really creepy. The closet in the original was creepy. It was this dark room that just, the way the holes in the door and the light would hit the Jesus statue, the way its eyes would look like it's kind of glowing, and the way it was shot, the way she was dragged into the closet. This movie rushes through every plot point. I did not see this in theaters when it came out. I redboxed it the summer it came out. And I went into it not very enthusiastically. I kind of figured what I was getting into. And by the time it was over, my first thought was, that was really fast. And I mean, we're looking at, what is it? This one, I think, is 100 minutes? 100 minutes, 98. 2 minutes longer, but it feels like it's about a half hour shorter. And that's because it feels rushed. They just want to, before you know it, Carrie's being asked to the prom. They get to prom. We do have the montage of the girls getting ready for prom and talking about how Carrie's going with Tommy. The boys trying on their tuxes. Carrie making her dress by hand. And Chris and Billy setting up the blood. All put to kind of silly music like the original. Which I will say, the music before that, when we first see Carrie making her dress, I do like that piece of music. There is some of like the Carrie theme in this. Not the psycho, the re, when she makes things happen. But like the locker room suite music, feels like they're doing some of that. Opens with volleyball, only instead of outside, it's in the pool. They still do the blood, obviously, it's a major plot point, but they literally do everything. The only thing they really change, like, okay, say they wanted to make this for modern audiences. Don't even worry about making it closer to the novel. Just say, hey, the first one's a little dated, feels like the 70s. We want to update it for modern audiences, which it still holds up. Yeah, it looks like the 70s, but that's part of its charm. It still holds up. What did they really do that warrants this being updated to 2013? During the tampons in the locker room, Chris films it on her phone and uploads it to social media. That's about it. That's really the only thing that's modern, that's newer, other than maybe, okay, the music they dance to at the prom. And yeah, they make Chris more out to be a daddy's little princess who, you know, every time she always has daddy come into school to set things straight. But dad sides with the school because she has the video on her phone, so she can't go to prom. They make the Billy Nolan character, the John Travolta character, out to be this, you know, much older, probably didn't even go to high school, like leather jacket, dropout psycho. They make Chris out to be a psycho. I don't remember how far her character goes in the book as far as participating, but like when they kill the pig, he gives her the knife to stab it after it's been bludgeoned, and she does it very like quickly and excitedly, and then they both like passionately kiss. So they make her out to be a psycho. And yeah, just before you know it, you're already at the prom. And another thing is, okay, yeah, they frizz her hair up a little bit. They put older clothes, like Little House on the Prairie clothes on her. but that's it. It still looks like she's wearing makeup, but the kind of makeup to make it look like she's not wearing makeup. It doesn't look like a natural ugly duckling. Yeah, I keep saying that because that's what Carrie is. Which is what made the original more, impactful at the end when she gets to prom and she does have her dress, she does have her hair done, she does have makeup, she does light up and smile, she does look beautiful. Here, though, it's just like, okay, she looks a little better. She's come out a little bit, but looks generally the same. It's not a huge transformation. So therefore, when the blood fall and the prom scene goes by so quick, the reason why I went longer in the original was because it gave us a good chunk of time to where Carrie felt like she fit in. People are talking to her, being nice to her, joking around, smiling with her, acknowledging her beauty, letting her into the group. Here, they get there, a couple people talk to her, they sign the ballad, send it in, and then they're crowned king and queen. In the original, you had between 3 and 5 minute tracking shot of the prom, all the way to the way the ballots are cheated, all the way up into the rafters where the blood is. Brian De Palma is one of my favorite filmmakers. This doesn't have any of that. So yeah, the prom just feels wasted because they get there and almost nothing happens. Then they're crowned. And then we get to, and we do see some of Julianne Moore, instead of seeing Piper Laurie just standing at the kitchen cutting a carrot, and then the carrot's not there anymore, but she's still hitting the cutting board to show that she snapped. Here, they're trying too hard to be scary, because in this, Carrie locks her mother in the prayer closet. Which before, when Carrie got locked in, she was overwhelmed that a giant crack went in the door. So here, when we cut back to see what Margaret's doing, her bloody hands, because she's been prying at this door, breaks through that crack, and is able to bust the door open enough to reach her hand through and open it. But then we get to the climax. Film that is so rushed to get here, and it looks so fucking silly the entire time. Okay, they do the thing with the blood where it kind of hits all different directions, like different camera angles. And yeah, it does look updated. Tommy gets splashed with it, even the what the hell, but it's not silent. And we see it naturally hit Carrie. Some of it even looks CGI. But then, when it comes to her standing there, it looks like it's meticulously placed just to go around one eye, just so so she looks a certain way. It looks like they actually kind of, at least the hair and the face, it looks like they purposely did that. Like they dumped it on her, then okay, let's make this look more theatrical. The one cool shot, the one interesting shot of this movie is when she looks down at herself, covered in blood. Then we get her POV with this swooping look at the crowd. Oh yeah, and then the tampon video gets uploaded onto the big screen at prom, and everyone sees it, everyone starts laughing. Mrs. Desjardins still kicks out Sue. Which in this, Sue doesn't go, in the book, if I remember correctly, Sue goes to check on Carrie in the prom because there's a broadcast that something happened. In the original film, Sue went to go just to see how Carrie looked. She just wanted to see her smile and have a good time. And then she caught on to what Chris was doing. Mrs. Desjardins assumed she was part of it and kicked her out. Here, Chris texts her with like a threatening, your girl looks good, but not for long. So she hurries. Oh, and also in this, it hints that she's pregnant. And then tells us at the end. But she gets to prom, gets thrown out by Mrs. Desjardins, played by Judy Greer. I will say some of the performances are fine. I like Julianne Moore. I like Judy Greer. Chloe Grace Moretz's acting was fine, except for up until the blood falls, then no. But her acting was fine. I just don't physically buy her as Carrie White. And Mrs. Desjardins' fate is more similar to the book. She lives. But and then the bucket falls, hits Tommy, kills him, he falls. But in this one, it does show Carrie being more like trying to wake him up and crying, saying no, as if she's aware that he wasn't part of it, or at least just doesn't want him to die yet. But then, the thing I hate the most is, yeah, a lot of people call the original Carrie not a horror movie, because it really is just little tiny bits with her mom being psycho, and then the ending. They're like, it's not really a horror movie, it's a drama with some thriller aspects. It's one of the most famous horror movies of all fucking time. Knock it the fuck off. And what made it creepy was Sissy Spacek just, standing there dead still, those bug eyes, almost like she's in a trance, like her brain just, like someone who's being bullied. She just snapped. Here, you might as well, when the prom-apocalypse is going on, you might as well have the Sorcerer's Apprentice music from Fantasia playing. Because she does all this theatrical, the way she just makes things happen. And okay, you get some cool deaths. Like one guy gets crushed in the folding bleachers. One girl gets set on fire because she walks by a burning table and her whole dress lights up. Mrs. Desjardins gets lifted up and then thrown out of the way. These cables come undone like snakes, and they shock people. And then just the way she she can pull someone towards her, she can throw them away. That's what I mean by X-Men. People like that she is learning her powers, which, yes, in the original film she did go to the library and get books on telekinesis. The only thing that felt like it was on purpose was when she's in the bathroom and the mirror starts vibrating and then it just breaks. Here though, and I know this has happened in the book, she's sitting in the bed and all the books are lifting and her bed's levitating. She's practicing. And then the way she just does all this. And of course, her face, they do a thing with their pupils that, okay, in the context of what they're doing, okay, I still much preferred the still, wide-eyed, trance creepiness. And most people live. There's a lot of kids outside of that are able to make it outside. And more like the book, okay, she just destroy more of the town, not the entire town. But yeah, Chris and Billy get bigger deaths. Carrie stomps on the ground, creates a crack. And then his car, the earth starts crumbling, so he has to outrun it. She wants him to hit her, so you get her standing there he's flying at her, but she's able to stop him. That's even one of the advertisement posters. That's how iconic Carrie is and why it does need to be remade. Because you can see a poster for Carrie with her, you know, going like this in front of a car that looks like it's been stopped. You know exactly what scene that is. You know what she's doing. And another cool thing. It is CGI. I forgot to mention how much of this is CGI. Because when she first starts fucking up the school, we see the blood in full CGI start to fly off her before she starts making shit happen. The CGI cables that are shocking people, and CGI blood, and so yeah, Chris and Billy's death. When she stops the car, we get like this, like fast, and then to inside the car. We see Billy smash his nose off the steering wheel, and then, you know, it stops. Chris then is able to like sit in Billy's lap and like push on the gas to try to hit Carrie, but she lifts the car up, and then just as Chris guns the gas to go or does whatever, Carrie drops it and lets it drive right into a gas station, which again we see her through the windshield get stuck there. When she goes to look at her and there's glass and she's like, oh. Carrie walks away, blows it up. And then the ending is not as engaging as the original. The original has one of the scariest shots of 70s horror movies. I didn't even notice it when I was a kid. I'll save it for what it is when I do it. But when I was a kid, I didn't even notice it for the longest time. But if you didn't notice it, the original film, when Carrie goes up the stairs to take a bath, and she finally gets to the top of the stairs and turns the light on, there's something that I didn't even realize. And it's fucking creepy looking. This doesn't have any of that. And then, of course, Margaret comes out after she washes up, tells her the story, how Carrie's dad was drunk. They were lustful. They weren't married. They prayed for strength to not fornicate and sin, but they were both weak. He did it anyway, so she's the product of spousal rape, even though she said she liked it. And she thought Carrie was cancer. Actually, I think she says that earlier. But of course, then eventually she stabs her. And then, you get a battle of the will with Margaret trying to stab Carrie in the face. But she uses her force, push. Another cool kind of slow-mo, but CGI is all the sharp objects circle her in the air. We hear the ting, 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 ting. And then finally throws her across the room. They all hit her. Formation of Jesus, like in the original. That makes rocks fall. Which, yes, it was in the original. It was in the book. I still think the rocks falling is a little silly. But, yeah. Here we do get the confrontation or meeting between Sue and Carrie. Which I believe it was in a park. Or a parking lot. I think it was in a parking lot in the book where Sue finds Carrie, and that's where Sue apologizes and Carrie can tell that she's telling the truth. And here it's in the house, and Carrie tells her that she's pregnant, throws her out to safety, then the rocks fall. And then we see, Sue being questioned about what happened. And then we get the ending where instead of a hand coming up, it's, we see her tombstone, which is in the cemetery, not the ruins of the house, but it still says Carrie White burns in hell. Sue puts a flower there, walks away, then we see like a crack, and then like the formation of what looks like someone standing there with the screen. Not nearly as effective. If they did that because they thought they couldn't top the surprise scare at the end of the original, I'll let that slide. Because there's no way they could have. This movie just, it feels so rushed. Like, they have everything that happens, every plot point, event, scenario, it's like they have a bullet pointed, and then they just check it off once they do it. They're not trying to build anything up, use any of it for, you know, there's no real pacing other than fast and not in an entertaining way. Like, it's just like, okay, it's like, yep, tampons, you know, Cassie, Carrie, detention, running, I want you to take Carrie to the prom, I got asked to the prom, don't ask her again. Everything just feels so fucking rushed. There's no teeth, there's no substance. It's already pretty much forgotten. No one really talks about this. And it only came out 8 years ago. Most frustrating thing is, Greer, Moore, and Moretz they all do well. I just don't buy her as Carrie. She looks like one of the popular girls. And even King was questionable. I know he praises a lot, except for The Shining. But even he was like, why? The original was so good. Why make another one? Even if it is more like the book. Whether it's more like the book or a modern version of the original, it's not needed. Granted, it's not Gus Van Sant's Psycho. A lot of people say it is, along with like The Omen and other remakes that are very close. No. Gus Van Sant's Psycho is a shot-for-shot remake. You put both of them next to each other, it's the exact same movie. Painstakingly, on purpose. This just has a lot of the same shit, scenes, and dialogue that leads to nothing. It leads to silly Fantasia theatrics that are more silly and laughable than creepy and startling. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of it then, not a fan of it now. The original Carrie, one of my favorite King movies, the De Palma movies. This lacked everything De Palma's film had. I know some people like it just because it's modern, just because it's not 70s, because it's faster, because they don't like methodically slow-paced build-up. There's no build-up to this. Everything that was effective in the original lacks in this. That's the major issue. The real thing is, it's unnecessary. This movie's unnecessary, unwanted, unneeded. It's nothing. But that's 2013's Carrie. I do plan on doing this either next or sooner than others. But yeah, that's 2013's useless, pointless, unnecessary remake, newer adaptation of Stephen King's Carrie. Thank you for watching.